Bitcoin is the perfect option that I've ever seen in my life. It's got no theta, meaning it has no expiry time. It actually increases in value as volatility increases. It's got gamma, which is your second derivative, which means more people will run to own it. And as more people run to own it, it actually builds on itself. It's called a gamma squeeze. And think of a gamma squeeze on the Fed put. Everybody trusts the Fed to be there to bail out markets. But imagine finally, or not finally, the one time the Fed can't bail out the market. Well, basically, what has the Fed done? With a Fed put, the Fed has sold volatility to the markets, okay? The market is long the Fed put. A gamma squeeze is when you have to run out and the Fed has to run out and cover the stuff they shorted. Imagine if they run out and buy Bitcoin. Imagine the smartest trade they could ever make. And by the way, people are learning this day by day. This doesn't come quickly. But I believe I've seen inklings of when markets and VIX starts picking up, the price of Bitcoin doesn't go down. It actually picks up as well. It'll take time. It's an education process, but it starts with a credit perspective because I've lived credit. And when you are long credit, you're short vol. And when you're short credit, you're long volatility. And what is Bitcoin? It's a short credit trade against sovereign debt. I love it. I've never seen a better option in my entire life, and that's why you have to own it. I'll just say that let's focus on what's really broken, which is the fiat interest curve, because you have an elephant in the room that's suppressing that. And what solves that? Well, Bitcoin. And are you going to lend your Bitcoin and make an interest rate? I don't do that. I'm not telling you not to do it, but understand what I own Bitcoin for. I own it for insurance, okay, against the big system, which is still the fiat system, collapsing. And I'm not going to worry about playing the contango curve. There's a better trade, and that is selling BITO short and buying GBTC, which is the Grayscale trust, at a 14 or 15% discount and playing the contango versus the 14% discount. Now that gets interesting, and you can put that on, about 10 billion aside right now, 10 billion. Giddy up, man. That is excitement because there's $6 billion to capture on a mark to market discount that for some reason, the big hedge funds out there are not doing it. And if I was a big fund like CPPIB, which is the Canadian Pension Fund Investment Board, one of the largest pension plans in North America, they know they need Bitcoin. Hey, I wouldn't be averse to telling them to go out, buy $10 billion of GBTC. If that discount doesn't narrow too much, buy the whole fund. Wouldn't that be exciting? And then Canada makes $6 billion at the expense of unit holders of GBTC. Started in 1988, it was the Latin American debt crisis, and then 1998 was the long-term capital management, and then 2008, but notice the 10-year timeframes, was the great financial crisis, and then 2019-20 was COVID. Each successive crisis was actually more painful, happen quicker. And that's just a symptom of leverage being increased in the system each time, right? So each successive crisis transferred leverage from the financial system to the balance sheets of the governments. And then when things unraveled, notice how quickly things unraveled in the COVID crisis. Like it wasn't even close, right? Like this didn't go down over time. Didn't take the staircase down. It took the elevator down. And I've never seen anything like that. That was unbelievable.
Jumped out of the building.
Pardon me?
He didn't take the elevator, jumped out of the building.
Well, that's it. You look at me, I'm flying, right? You think you're flying for 3 minutes and then you hit the ground. But at the end of the day, so with the next one, what I will say is I don't know when it's going to happen. I'm very concerned that the next one is the last one. And I don't want that to be the case. I've said this many times. Jeff Booth and I are very, we want a parallel system to develop so that there is a lifesaver, a life raft. think if you're borrowing from, you mentioned Nick Szabo before, Guy, borrowing a great line from him that I love is use your checking account. Fiat is your checking account. Bitcoin is your savings account. There can be a parallel system in which both can succeed. Just don't save your money in fiat. Don't save your money in your checking account, but get this system, this network transfer that's going to take place. Because when you do a network transfer, you don't just turn one off, right? You run two networks in parallel to make sure you have the system working properly. So I'm skirting the issue. Is there going to be another one? Yes, 100%. The next one could be the big one. I hope it's not as soon as in the next year because we're not ready yet. But, as time proceeds and more people understand the Fed is never going to taper. Let's be honest about that. Okay. All of this stuff is a goofball argument. I'm considering stopping printing 120 million a month. Okay, congrats. Are you ever going to get down to zero? No, it's mathematically impossible. So stop pretending that you're going to actually ever taper to zero. That's math. You are not. So the next one will be, oh my God, it happened. We're still tapering, or excuse me, we're still QEing. And we just hit another crisis. Open the floodgates. This is QE infinity times 3, if that even makes any sense, because it will have to be. We're now at total global debt to GDP is 4 times. When we had the first one in 1988, it was like, total global debt was averaging probably just over 1 times. And this is global debt, not just government debt, but total global debt. Well, successive increases in leverage mean the leverage unwind, which we talked about, is more painful because there's more leverage in the system. Doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. So every time you increase the leverage, the pain increases. So the next one, we jumped out the window last time, Guy. I'm not sure what we can jump out of this one. We'll be jumping into a black hole. Maybe that's what happens. We jump into a black hole next time, right? And I don't want that to be the case. I want these systems to be in place so that our kids can actually enjoy some of the good parts of life that I've enjoyed, and hopefully the future generations can enjoy. Over time, I think people are going to understand that Bitcoin's your insurance, Guy, and they're going to understand that Bitcoin is actually what I term, and I don't want to get too granular, but I term it a long volatility trade. And essentially what long volatility means is you are short credit. You're short other financial assets because inherently, if you own bonds, you are short vol. If you own equities, you're short vol.
Do you want to know one thing about crypto? I made over 3,000% in profit in a few weeks. Fact is, the traditional financial system, the traditional money system makes you poor, not rich. If you want to earn $500,000, $1 million, you have to wait until you're 50, 60, 70 in the traditional financial system, and you probably will still be broke. And you will be old. This is not a sexy combination, as you can imagine. But the question is, how can you start in crypto and make these profits? Where to invest? Where to start? My name is Gunnar and I'm from Germany, as you can hear, and things are a little bit different in Germany. More about that later on. Fact is, there are lots of different cryptocurrencies. It's a gigantic universe where beginners and professionals get easily lost. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are 7 key steps you need to follow to become successful in this market. You have to know them, and if you fail one of them, it's literally impossible to succeed in this market. Just an example, one of the key points is your exchange, and one of the biggest are, for example, Binance and Coinbase. These are trusted and well-established exchanges, but, and this is a big but, you won't find the super profitable coins on those exchanges. The unknown super profitable coins that get gigantic profits are not traded on those kind of exchanges. They are traded on much smaller insider platforms that are barely known. And I can tell you what those super secret exchanges are and why they are so profitable. And another super important thing are the right information sources. The point is, the internet is gigantic. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels, blogs, pages, and much more. And there are also market makers and influencers. For example, Elon Musk, he is not a crypto guy, but the moment he recommended Dogecoin, it went through the roof, to the moon, so to say. But why did he recommend it? Where did he hear it from? He didn't hear it from newspapers. And believe me, he is listening to someone. But you have to know who, and you have to react before he is reacting. This is really, really important. And these are only 2 of the 7 steps you have to follow in order to be successful in crypto. And if you want to know all of these steps in much more detail, and if you want to have a comprehensive checklist, here's what you should do. There is a link below this video. Click on this link and you will get the opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Click on the link and you will see a video where I explain the next steps. So see you soon. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.